Hi guys, this is Ryan with Mama on Mission, and today I have a Q&A video. These are made from questions that I received during my 100 subs giveaway video. I reached 100 subscribers and gave away a book and some goodies to the winner. But one of the things you had to do to enter was submit some questions for my Q&A video. So here they are. The first question comes from Taylor, and it says, what made you start a YouTube channel? And I believe Anna asked a similar question. So to answer both of those, I basically started this to join the homeschool community that I found on here. Once my boys started getting a little older and I started needing a little more direction on homeschooling, I found a lot of help on YouTube. There were several accounts that I kind of kept up with to get inspiration from. And I just love the community that I found there, so I kind of wanted to be a voice in that and just to be able to connect with those moms in that way. And then I also saw that there was kind of a lack of what I wanted to talk about in certain areas, specifically in womanhood and kind of that Christian parenting aspect. And not to say that that's not out there at all and that I'm the first one to do it, because by no means is that the case. But I shouldn't see a lot out there that had both the homeschooling and kind of the biblical womanhood talk. So I kind of wanted to be a voice to kind of start joining those together. So in a roundabout way, that's what I'm doing here. And then Jody asked, where would your dream vacation take you? This is kind of a trick question, and Carrie asked a similar question, but I am kind of that person that I just want to go anywhere. Some places that really sound amazing to me are anywhere in Europe would be amazing. Africa, I would love to go, but probably my top two, well, I guess technically three, either Ireland or Scotland, and do the castle tours, or New Zealand. I just think New Zealand is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I did watch all the Hobbit movies with my husband, and just like the backdrops in those movies just like is breathtaking to me, and I would love to go see that in person. So I would say it's not just one, but I would say either Ireland or Scotland or New Zealand would probably be my top pick. But then Carrie asked, if you could go anywhere to visit, where would it be and why? And I took this question a little differently. If I could just go anywhere to visit, not talking dream vacation, I would go on a Holy Land tour 100%, just to walk where Jesus walked and see the places where all these things that I've read about since I was saved at 16, to see where they happened and to just be where he was. I think that'd be absolutely amazing. And the brave homeschooling mama asked, why did you start homeschooling? I think I've answered this question before in other videos, but the long and short of it is initially I stayed home with my oldest because financially it just made the most sense for us. I had taught preschool in the past, so I knew that I could do that at home. So I started doing that because it didn't make sense for me to work and then pay to put him in preschool. And then I kept hearing my husband, like overhearing him in conversation, and he kept saying, yeah, we'll probably homeschool. And I was like, we will? I had never really put that into consideration. But I was like, yeah, I'll homeschool through preschool, and had every intention of in kindergarten, we'll send him to kindergarten. But then as that day got closer and closer, I was just like, I can't send him to preschool. Like, I don't want to. And I think it was more than just like that mom sending her baby to school for the first time thing. It was more like I just did not want to do that at all. And so I was like, okay, well, if I can teach preschool, then I can teach kindergarten. And just over that next year, the Lord just really softened my heart and then gave me a love for homeschooling, and I can't imagine not doing it now. Okay, and Taya asked, what is your favorite book? Also a trick question. I do not have one set favorite. I have a few, And The Simple Rugged Path, one of her questions was, what are your top 5 favorite books of all time? So if I had to pick just one, it would change day to day. But today I'm feeling like I would say Let Me Be a Woman by Elizabeth Elliot. I assume the reason it holds such a special place in my heart is that it was the first book on womanhood that I read that really dug into what it means to be a woman and why it's special and different, but as equally important to being a man. Um, and I just felt like it was very timely, as in, us being in an age where feminism is rampant and men are really being thrown under the bus a lot. So I don't know. It was just a really good, timely book for me, and I think it'll hold a special place in my heart for a long time. But to go off of that, The Simple Rugged Path, April's first question was, what are your top 5 favorite books? And if I had to right now pick top 5, like I said, it changes all the time. I don't know. But it would be Let Me Be a Woman by Elizabeth Elliot, Uncle Tom's Cabin by Harriet Beecher Stowe. It's a classic. I just read it, I think it was last year, and so good. I loved it. And then Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I just read this year, and such a good story. Like, so rich and really captures what I think true love is. And then, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then my 5th one would have to be Matilda by Roald Dahl. I know it's like a children's book, but that's probably the book that I read most out of any book ever. That's not a picture book anyway. And I just fell in love with that book and that movie as a kid, and I've read it over and over, and I've read it to my kids now, so one of my favorites. I realized that I forgot to put in my 5th book. I had miscounted, and I would say that was The Taster by V.S. Alexander. Really good World War II book that I highly recommend. Emily asked, what is your favorite color? Definitely green. I love any shade of green. If I had to pick one, it would probably be army green, or kind of like that olive drab color. Just really love me. That's what all my furniture is dark green. So Shauna asked, how the heck are you? And to that I say, great. Shauna is an old friend of mine, and she was our giveaway winner. So it was fun to get to bless her with those little gifts. And yeah, we're good. We're busy. Busiest summer we've probably ever had, but it's been really fun, and we're enjoying it. So hope you guys are doing good too. Bites of Memory asked, what is a funny childhood memory? And I'm glad she didn't ask, what is your favorite childhood memory? Because I don't know. I grew up with 3 little sisters, and it was chaos most of the time, but it was really fun. And the first one that just came to mind, I don't know, it's definitely not like the best or funniest, but it's just when I read that question, this is what came to my mind. One time my parents were gone. I think they were actually at a funeral, and I was left home with my sisters, and we lived in an old Victorian house, and we had like our kitchen, and then off of the kitchen was like this, we called it the porch, but it was still indoor. It wasn't even a screened-in porch. It was just like this little tiny area. I don't know what it was used for back when the house was first built, but it's just like this. There's the door, and it's like an outside door, and then this area, and then another outside door. So we locked my little sister out on that porch. Keep in mind, it was still like fully enclosed, but it was really cold outside. We locked my 3rd sister in there. So she's 6 years younger than me. And me and the sister right under me went and thought that we could trick her. And we dressed up in my dad's clothes. We were in elementary school, I don't know like what age, but dressed up in my dad's clothes and acted like we were like burglars, and like, I don't know, like put on some kind of show basically for her, and we were like yelling at her and whatever, and my parents walked home in the middle of it, and she was out there. It was an enclosed porch, but there was no heater out there, or no heat at all, so she was out there in her pajamas, cold, and we were in my dad's clothes, like messing around. So that was funny looking back on it. It wasn't funny at the time because I got in a lot of trouble, but funny now. Boy Boss Mama asked, what is your biggest challenge when homeschooling? For me, that would be probably finding a middle ground between how my sons, like how they learn best and how they um, best work in the structure of their day. Um, Finding middle ground between that and how I work best. How I learn best is not how they learn best. And so trying to teach to how they need to be taught instead of how I like to teach. And also structuring my day in a way that works for them but still works for me, because I'm very much a get up first thing in the morning, hurry up, get your stuff done, and then you can have the rest of the day to kind of do what you want to do and not what you have to do. My boys don't work that way. Like they wake up raring and ready to go, but they want to play and they want to do their thing, and then maybe a little bit of productivity, and then play, and then be productive, and then play, and then be productive, and then play. And I can't, like, that stresses me out. So we got to kind of find like this middle ground. And for me, that's always been the hardest, is finding that balance between what works for them and what works for me. The Simple Rugged Path, I answered her first question, but her second question was, what advice would you give a mom wanting to raise a son for the Lord? And this, I feel like, should be a video in and of itself, and I am kind of in the works of formulating some ideas for a video kind of like that, being a boy mom and trying to do this very thing. But the first things that come to my mind are, teach him how to be a man. It can be hard when you're a homeschool mom, especially, to get that influence on your son, but not, yes, your son needs to know how to do dishes. Yes, your son should know how to be tender with children and help take care of children. Yes, your son should be able to clean things and cook things. But he also needs to be outside with his dad and learn those skills. And not just to learn the skills for the sake of knowing the skills, but boys like work. Boys like respect. Boys like responsibility. And not that girls don't like those things too and need those things too. But if you want to raise a boy who leads, who can lead a family one day, who can lead others to the Lord someday, I feel like you have to give him some more responsibility. Teach him how to be a good leader. And that's by showing him how to work hard. And a lot of times that is, dad's outside building a fence or pulling weeds. Send him out there, let him do that with him. And it's also good for just their energy, and productive hard work is good for their bodies and good for their spirits, I feel. Because they like seeing a job well done, and they like being respected for work that they do, and just for being little men, because you want them to be big men someday. So that's kind of the first thing that comes to my mind. There's a whole multitude of other things too, but that's what I've got for now. And then we're getting toward the end here. Let's see, Muning Masida. I hope I'm not killing that name. It says, I have 2 boys. How do you keep your sanity while homeschooling? Well, I have 2 boys that I'm homeschooling, 1 toddler, and we take lots of breaks. Like I said earlier, that's kind of how my boys like to work anyway, but it's also, boys, I don't think most boys were not meant to sit still for 8 hours straight. I know a lot of girls weren't meant to sit still for 8 hours straight. I feel like they've got a lot of energy and they need to get it out, not just sit and suppress it and suppress it and suppress it. Not that there isn't time for sitting down and focusing, but, we'll work, and if we get through like one hard subject, then I say, okay, go to the trampoline for 15 minutes, jump it out, and then we come back. And, while they're out there, I do something productive that I need to get done, or sometimes I just pour another cup of coffee and gather my thoughts. I also like to rotate them, especially with those harder one-on-one subjects. We do as much school together as we can, but then those harder one-on-one subjects, teaching my middle son to read right now, doing some grammar and writing with my older son, who kind of has a harder time with that kind of stuff. I like to do that one-on-one with them, and then the other one, I send them somewhere to play. I don't make them necessarily sit quietly, unless they have something quiet that they can do and they're in the right state of mind to do that. But usually I send them to their room. I say, go play Hot Wheels, or I send them outside and say, go run around for a little bit. Just alternating them so that they don't have to be sitting giving me all their attention the entire school day, but also so that I can have that moment with that one sibling and get some work done. And then our last question, here it is. Anchored Household asked, who is your favorite author? Again, it's going to change. You might ask me next week and I would say something totally different. Right now, again, I can't just pick one, but I would say I still just love some Roald Dahl. James and the Giant Peach, Matilda, all those kind of books, like they hold a special place in my heart. But I'm very late to the game, but just these past year or two have gotten into a lot of the classics, and I really love the Bronte sisters and Jane Austen. I'm looking forward to reading more of their stuff. I just didn't take the time to appreciate classic literature when I was younger and when I was in high school. As far as a current modern favorite, I'm really loving Ruth Ware right now. I'm reading through her books super fast. I think she's a really new author, but she writes some really good thriller, suspense type stuff, which is really my favorite type of book. So right now it is her. I thank you so much for sticking through this. This was kind of a longer video for me, but I hope you enjoyed it and hope you got to know a little bit more about me. And I will be back in the next few days. Like I said, I'm working on some parenting ideas for videos, but also more of like biblical womanhood type stuff. So stay tuned for that, and if you haven't, subscribe and click that notification bell if you want to know when I upload new content, and I will see you next time. Bye.